Hey there, fellow freelancers. I'm going to start this video by playing the original gameplay demo uninterrupted in its entirety so you can experience it for yourself, and then I'm going to dive into an extremely in-depth analysis to reveal some of those juicy details. If you want to jump straight to the analysis, hop to about 4:30 and you can get right into it.
Freelancer, time to get to work!
Faye said these bastards made some kind of acid. They're using it as a weapon. So, find where they're making this garbage and shut it all down.
Owen, what's the plan here?
Picking up loads of scars nearby. Take a look around the area, but be careful.
Right. Checking out the scar camp some more.
Look at all the weapons! Oh, and the turrets! Better move quickly. There's a shaker relic. Wait, something's odd. Get a closer look, would you? See those radiant pieces of energy? They're echoes from the Anthem of creation. Loads of scars nearby. Be careful. Return them to the relic. You've got to silence it fast. It's gone silent. Disaster averted. Do you think we get a bonus for... Wait, something's happening.
What the hell was that?
I think that was whatever laid all the eggs around here. The sound came from below your position. On the plus side, this definitely counts toward hazard pay. There's a trail of this acid gunk leading down. Follow it, and we should find the source.
The setup for this mission is we've been given an assignment to take out an acid-based superweapon that the Scars are in control of. Let's begin. Right off the bat, we have some armored creatures in our first look at the Strider, which works as a mini hub or a forward operating base that will conceivably be our starting point for some missions. We have our first look at a new NPC that'll help guide us through missions, and he seems to be in control of the Strider. We also get another look at entering the Javelin in first person, except this time it's the Colossus. Speaking of a Colossus, we're joined by one on our left with a more custom looking white and red striped paint job, as well as a sleeker looking Ranger compared to the Ranger we've seen previously. The Javelins exit out on top of the Strider to start the mission, which will probably be a reoccurring theme. Right away, we can see a HUD overhaul compared to previous videos we've seen of Anthem. Everything is now in the bottom right of your screen, or the top left of your screen, which you'll see later on. We can see the standard 2-gun loadout with a machine gun and some sort of power weapon, which seems to be a rocket launcher. The rocket launcher has 4 shots per clip and seems to be a Colossus-only weapon. We can see 3 abilities. The left bumper is rapid mortar, or it's like a volley of mortars that shoots a quick series of mortar shots that are less powerful than the single mortar ability we've seen in 2017's gameplay demo. This means there's a variation in choice and Javelin abilities, which is awesome. The right bumper ability is a railgun shot that does good damage. We'll see that later on, and the Y ability is actually a melee ability. It's the ground pound we've seen in the past. Beneath those abilities is the super ultimate ability bar that will fill up over time when you deal damage. There's also a compass at the top showing where the objective is. That compass will also be used to locate enemies. They'll appear as red dots. The top right also shows our current mission objectives, just in case you forget, and there's some blue dots that will pop up on the edges of the screen, pointing in the direction of your teammates. We now get our first look at the Colossus flying in third person, and you can tell there's some weight behind the way that he handles. And you'll also notice a white bar increasing in the middle bottom of the screen. That is the jet overheat bar. Overheating will cause your Javelin to lose flight temporarily, and you don't want that to happen, especially in a game like this where mobility seems to be key. We see some more wildlife and come up on a waterfall. That waterfall is more important than you think, because whenever the Colossus flies through it, it actually resets the heat bar on his jets. You can see this effect noted in the top left corner. This seems like an interesting mechanic that can be used in puzzles, as well as used to traverse the environment more quickly. In the top left, you will see your armor or health bar. We then see some woodland creatures and get our first mention of Owen. The voice seems like an onboard AI system similar to Jarvis and Iron Man. He will help guide us in the mission, as well as point out other key facts, similar to the Ghost in Destiny. His banner seems mostly informational throughout the video, but it does show some hints of his own personality. Entering the new area, we actually see scars materializing out of the ground. The scars are the same enemy that we saw in last year's trailer, and they seem to be one of the most common enemies you'll encounter in Anthem. The first 2 scar enemies we encounter are Hunter and Scrappers. Scrappers are the main enemy we'll see, and they make up basically the grunts of the scars. The Hunter is more of a tank, and seems actually similar to a Hunter from Halo, just not quite as powerful. The next thing you'll immediately notice is the giant damage numbers similar to Borderlands. I personally think the numbers could be a bit smaller to help clear line of sight, but that's just me. Now that we switched over to our Ranger, we'll see that same 2-weapon loadout, except it's a pistol instead of a rocket launcher. The left bumper ability is a frost grenade, which we'll see later in the video, and the right bumper ability isn't seen. His melee ability is also not seen. If you look closely, the Colossus is actually shooting explosive rounds. You can see the explosions on impact, and they're actually yellow and white damage indicators. It seems to be that the white is the bullet damage or projectile damage, and the yellow is the explosive damage. You'll see the Colossus uses his right bumper railgun attack to take out the turret fortification. The railgun actually does 3,075 damage, which is significantly stronger than his regular machine gun. There's a short cooldown on the ability of about 12 seconds, and the destruction leaves behind our second look at a type of loot in the top left. This is a common loot drop and is a common sigil or a common weapon or both. We have no indication of what a common sigil is. That could be some sort of crafting item, but we don't know. Next, we get a look at a fairly large and well-equipped tower. There are several anti-air guns that look like they could be especially devastating for flying javelins, but are thankfully occupied by flying wild wyverns. This looks like it could be a settlement of some sort, as there is another establishment just below the flying javelins. We now transition to the Ranger, who has a completely filled super bar. Fortunately for us, he's almost immediately going to use that super. A world event appears along with a massive creature called an Ancient Guardian, or more specifically, an Ash Titan. This is not part of the main mission we're on, and is just a random side mission or event that can happen while you're on a regular mission. As the Ash Titan charges up a laser shot from his chest, our Ranger unleashes his super ability. It's actually the volley of locking on missiles we saw in last year's video. Interesting to note is that the ability can actually lock on all the missiles to one enemy or lock across several enemies, so it can be used as crowd control or massive damage to a single unit. Additionally, we also see our first look at an aerial dodge with a sweet barrel roll to the left. This is our first indication of actually being able to dodge while flying in the air, and definitely adds extra variety. It also doesn't make the jets overheat anymore, so there won't be much of a penalty for doing this. Passing the Ash Titan, the Ranger dives into the water. Just like we saw with the waterfall, the jet overheating bar disappears, but this time it's replaced by a depleting oxygen bar. The underwater cave looks surreal and is complete with a glowing fish creature. We get a mini cutscene as the squad pops out of the water. You can see for the first time that the Storm Javelin is with us, complete with his sick cape. We are immediately faced with a series of mines, and our Colossus pops out a shield, which doesn't seem to be either his left bumper or right bumper ability, and proceeds to run through them, only slightly damaging the shield and receiving no damage to his javelin itself. The shield health bar pops up in the middle and takes about a third damage after running through 4 mines. Also to note is jet boost sprinting does not activate the overheat gauge. Another thing to point out is supers are currently not regenning over time, and it looks like dealing damage is the only way to increase that bar. The squad stumbles upon a massive shaper relic that is humming with mysterious energy. The energy is called Echoes from the Anthem of Creation, which I'll discuss more of in a story video soon. As a battle with scars breaks out, we switch over to the other Colossus's view and see 2 new abilities, as well as a new secondary weapon that looks like a shotgun. Left bumper has a fire symbol, and we can clearly see a mortar on his left shoulder, so a safe assumption is it's some sort of fire or napalm mortar shot. His right bumper ability is a flamethrower, which we'll see shortly, and his Y melee ability is the fairly powerful Grand Slam. Let's let him demonstrate. His Ground Slam does 200 damage to each enemy and destroys some mysterious floating light. No clue what that is or what it does. We can also now see another glimpse at a loot drop. This time it's green. Unfortunately, nobody picks it up. The relic seems to be somehow connected to the enemies that are spawning and must be silenced by delivering echoes to stop the spawning. Switching to the Ranger, you will see our very first look at a status effect being inflicted on a scrapper. He has an electric symbol over his head while showing clear signs of visually being electrocuted. It seems to either be a stun or slow effect, most likely caused by the Storm Javelin, as you'll see he has a lightning ability later on. Our Colossus now bursts out the flamethrower previously mentioned, and it has 100 fuel, which goes down at a fairly quick pace. We now see for the first time the burn status effect, as scrappers are absolutely melted for 130 damage per tick. Our Ranger witnesses a new enemy spawn on the ground called an Elite Scrapper, who has a skull icon over his head, indicating he's probably a mini-boss. Tossing a frost grenade, he stops them all in their tracks. Looking closely, you can see a frost icon appear over their heads as the Colossus unleashes his absolutely devastating multi-mortar attack. The mortars hit for thousands of damage, and the numbers change to combo. There is now a legendary enforcer in the fray, and it seems like adjectives like elite and legendary will precede enemy names to indicate difficulty, similar to many other games, including Destiny. Looking on the right of the screen, you'll see the Storm Javelin actually picks up 2 common sigils and a common weapon, which is the white drop from earlier. He then uses a teleport, which again is not either his left or right bumper ability, so there is definitely an inherent ability with each Javelin class. His left bumper ability looks like an electric ability, which is probably what was used to shock the scrapper earlier. His right bumper ability is a fireball, which is actually seen in the cinematic trailer. And as you can see, the Storm Javelin's secondary weapon is a very weak automatic pistol. The Colossus flies by a green and a blue loot drop on his way to deliver the echoes. Although we're not fully sure what echoes are, you can see one of them floating on the Colossus's back as he goes to deliver it. This is also a good time to point out the fact that so far we've seen white, green, and blue loot drops, which in other games, white has always been a common loot drop, green is uncommon, and blue is rare. So that's probably a similar theme we're going to see with Anthem as well. The relic gets silenced after all 6 echoes are delivered, but it's not over. When switching over to the Colossus, you can see his armor bar remains slightly empty, indicating javelin damage is persistent throughout the mission. You can also see the Ranger has taken significantly more damage than the Colossus, and a mysterious blue bar is located above his armor.
What the hell was that?
I think that was whatever laid all the eggs around here. The sound came from below your position. On the plus side, this definitely counts toward hazard pay. There's a trail of this acid gunk leading down. Follow it, and we should find the source.
The Storm Javelin is hovering around with some sort of mysterious barrier around him. Not sure what it is exactly, but it seems to be a passive ability similar to other abilities that we've seen. Enter Massive Creature, that is this mission's final boss, and that's everything I spotted in the gameplay demo. Let me know if I missed something in the comments below, and please subscribe if you want more Anthem coverage like this. Be on the lookout for several more Anthem videos over the next couple of days as we bring all the E3 and EA Play news straight to you. This is Andrew from Friendlies on Your 6. I'm out.